Hi guys, welcome to the first video of Unit 1 for AP Bio, and today we're going to be talking about the properties of water. So there's a bunch of different properties of water, and the one you really need to know, you do need to know most of these, but hydrogen bonding. This is so important. This is like the one concept that ties all of AP Bio together is hydrogen bonding right here. And if you don't remember, basically, I'm not going to go into the exact specifics of how hydrogen bonding works because that's in another video. But it's basically if you have a water molecule and if you have another water molecule, basically it's this little attraction force between these two molecules, like that. And it's between the oxygen of one and the hydrogen of another. Yeah, so that's hydrogen bonding, just really quickly. And so this opens the door to all sorts of different things. So first off, we have cohesion and adhesion. So basically, adhesion is just the ability to stick to things because of hydrogen bonding. So that's what adhesion is. So an example of this is like a tree. So you have a tree right here. And the question is, oh, well, how do you get the water all the way up to the leaves? And the way this works is it's a combination of both. So if we draw a really zoomed in version of a tree, there's this thing called a xylem. But basically, if you have this water, because of the nature of the tree, it actually like sticks to it right here. So that's how it can it kind of fights gravity by sticking to the side of the xylem or the inside of the tree. And then there's cohesion. So that's basically water sticking to itself. So this is seen if you have a penny and you put a drop of water on a penny. Instead of flowing over the edge, the water actually sticks to itself and keeps it together. So that's things that look like this, and then all of these linked together and they stick together. And so that really helps with the tree example, because for example, let's say one of these waters evaporates out of a leaf. Well, if this one's going out, then this one's stuck to it. So this one will also start to go out, and then it's a whole chain, and it's like a train. So on that note, we also have surface tension. So surface tension is kind of what you've seen. It's a lot in pop culture, but basically it's just the surface of the water. So let's say we have water here, and at the top of it, you can actually walk in it. So a common example is you have a little spider dude, and he's walking on it, and you're oh, well, how can you walk on water? And so it goes back to that same property of cohesion and also hydrogen bonding. So if you take a look, the surface of the water will have these water molecules here. Right, so we have these water molecules, and these are, I'm just going to use red to show the hydrogen bonds between them, just so it's more clear. Right, all these water molecules are all sticking together. And what makes that really important is that it basically, because hydrogen bonds are relatively strong, it allows things to kind of walk on top of them without actually breaking the surface tension of water. So that's why when you jump into water from a really high place, even though water actually breaks, it actually still hurts because you have to break that surface tension, and that's what that is. It's the bonding of water molecules over the top of water. One other thing that kind of relates to this is the properties of ice versus liquid water. And so what's really important is that ice is less dense than liquid water. And so the way this works is when you have liquid water, because it's liquid, there's more energy in the system. So let's say we have a cup of water, and we have, I'm not gonna draw them as H2Os, I'm just gonna draw them as these little Mickey Mouse shaped dudes. And because they're at higher energy, what's gonna happen is these dudes are totally moving around. They're hydrogen bonding, and then they're unhydrogen bonding. And they're doing that super fast. And so that's why if you have a glass of water, you can shake it up and the water's going to go everywhere. It's going to spin all around the cup and all of that because there's high enough energy to break the hydrogen bonds, allowing them to move freely. But let's say you have an ice cube, for example, there's less energy. And so basically that forces it into something called a lattice structure. And because there's less energy, you're not going to be breaking hydrogen bonds as often. So you get this cool pattern that looks like a lattice. I'm not going to draw it out fully. If you want to see the full pattern, you can just Google it. But it makes these bonds like that, right? And so basically, these are more stretched out than the water, liquid water. And so that actually makes it less dense than water because they're further apart. And so this is really important in like ecology and like nature. So if you have like this, we're going to make this like dark blue, and like this will be like our ice layer. If this is ice, if it floats to the top and this is all like liquid water, you could like life can like exist in here. Like if you draw like a little fish, I know that's a really good drawing, but life actually exists. So like in lakes, when like the top freezes over but the bottom doesn't, that's what allows life to keep going because ice is less dense than water. Another thing, water has a high specific heat. And so basically specific heat is just the energy it takes to raise a certain amount of a material by 1 degree. And so is that water has a really high specific heat because it takes a lot of energy to raise the temperature. And that's because of hydrogen bonding. So for example, if you take a pot of water and you put it over a flame, right? The water has a high specific heat, so that's why it takes a decent amount of time for it to boil. If you boil a big pot of like pasta water, it takes a long time to boil. But you'll notice right away is that the metal is actually going to be way hotter, even though like the water isn't boiling. Like if you put like a pan on the stove for 5 minutes, the metal's going to be really hot. And that's what an example of like lower specific heat, because it takes less energy to heat it up. So this is really important, and it happens because of hydrogen bonding, because hydrogen bonds are really strong for like intermolecular forces. So if you have these and you're trying to like raise the temperature and these dudes are all bonded together, then you can be like, oh, well, this takes more energy to actually break those bonds to make it increase energy. And so that's why it takes longer. And so going off of that, we have a high heat of vaporization. And so basically it takes a lot of energy to actually make water evaporate. And so this is sweat. So if you have like your arm, right, and you have like your hand, and you're sweating, right, because it's really hot, you have all these like drops of water on you. Basically, when the water evaporates, the water that evaporates is going to be the really hot water. And so when that water leaves your body, not only does it get rid of all the hot water that's on your body, but also leaves behind cooler water that allows you to like stay cool in hot weather. And finally, we have solvents. Water is a really good solvent. And basically, that just means that you can dissolve things in it. So, for example, if you have a glass of water, right, and you put in some NaCl, right, some table salt, what happens is this actually breaks up into things known as Na plus and Cl minus, right? It breaks up and gets dissolved into the water. And so the reason that happens is because of the high electronegativity and hydrogen bonding of water. It actually leads to like these positive charges being attracted to like the electronegative oxygen with a slight negative charge, and these negative charges of the chloride ion being attracted to the slightly positive of the hydrogen. So overall, properties of water, we have hydrogen bonding, cohesion and adhesion. We have surface tension, ice, less dense than water, high specific heat, high heat of vaporization, and excellent solvent. So these are the main properties of water you need to know, but most importantly, know hydrogen bonding. Everything in biology comes back to hydrogen bonding. That is the most important thing. If you know one concept from the entire year of biology, make sure it's hydrogen bonding. So that's it for this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.